DJ Bastish Bia for 64K, and welcome to another episode of New Retro.
Welcome to 64K, hosted by Bastish B.
And welcome back. So if you've never watched this show before, I take a look at a new game released on a retro system, and then we look at the inspiration game, the game that might have inspired it. And today's games are... So let's first take a look at that inspiration game. Arcade Classics was released in 1987 by Firebird on the Commodore 64. This game was part of their £1.99 budget range, and considering you were basically getting 4 games, it was a deal well worth getting. Like the name suggests, it's a collection of clone unofficial arcade games for your C64. The main title screen lets you choose 1 of 4 games, each one a clear clone of a then retro arcade game. The 4 games in question are Invaders, Asteroids, Snakes, and Space Wars. They were all variations on arcades that were popular in the late 70s to early 80s, thus very easy to replicate on the C64 by 1987. Invaders was extremely cool. It's pretty much Space Invaders replicated right down to the green screen, which really adds that retro vibe, and is probably one of the most fun games on this list. Asteroids is also a pretty good rip-off of Atari's Asteroids arcade game, complete with a vector graphics type look, and is probably my favorite game on this next to Invaders. I played those two in the arcades endlessly. Asteroids in particular had a really addictive vibe, and the last two were 2-player games only, as they were both head-to-head styled. Snakes is a variation on the old Nibbler arcade from 1982. Going against a friend is obviously a ton of fun. It's simple eat or be eaten gameplay, and it works really well in a versus style, and I played this a lot back in the day. And the last was Space Wars, a variation on the old 1977 arcade game of the same name. It's basically a one-on-one versus fighting game set in space with spaceships where you have to just blast your friend or opponent. The planet in the middle is also pulsating with a gravitational pulse throwing everything into chaos. It's a decent game in 2-player, but it honestly gets old real quick, and is definitely my least favorite of this collection. If you have to put your mind back and consider the price of this and the fact that it was a single load game, and on top of that they managed to get the almighty Rob Hubbard to do the soundtrack, which is well worth the price of admission alone. It's a brilliant, loud rock guitar anthem very similar to his Skate or Die soundtrack. This is a really fun little collection to play back in the day, and it's still quite good now, and is definitely at least part of the influence for our next game. And now on to the new game. Arcade Daze was released in the first quarter of 2021 through Cytronic Software, with programming duties by the Arcade 64 team of Trevor Story, Stuart Collier, and Sol Cross. This game was made in conjunction with the Zap 64 2021 annual, just like the previous 2 years, which saw the team doing Sizzler and Lords of Dragonspire for the previous annuals. Please check out my video on the new Zap 64 annual for more details, which also has a making of Arcade Daze feature to check out as well. The game is essentially an old arcade simulator, giving you the chance to play 18 different clone arcades based on popular games from the glory days of gaming. It is essentially 2 games though, the straight up arcade segment and the fact that you need to collect coins and exchange them for tokens, all the while avoiding the local arcade town bully, Kelly, and her cat. She drops coins which you can exchange to play games. 10 coins are needed for a token, although most coins count as multiple, so you only need to collect a few to play a game. The overall goal in this mode is to dethrone Kelly by completing every game, and thus becoming the king of your local arcade. If you've ever played the C64 game Lazy Jones, it's also quite similar to that in play and style, and the music definitely has overtones of that game. The arcade games themselves are quick, addictive fun, and you'll know immediately what games they were cloning if you spent any time in an Eddie's arcade or have played any Atari 2600 games. You've got variations on Space Invaders, Tanks, Pac-Man, Centipede, Lunar Lander, Frogger, and variations on those variations, which all gets very Inception-y. Every time you complete a game, it's marked off in the arcade so you know how many more you've got to go to complete the game. There are also 3 modes of play: Kiddie and Master are basically medium and hard modes, with the third, Practice, which is there if you just want to jump in and play the games, free play style, without bothering with collecting tokens or avoiding Kelly and her cat. You do have lives in regular play, and one touch from Kelly and you'll lose one. Her cat can only stun you. Too many hits and it's game over. Overall, it's a fun experience. It's simple and addictive, and will definitely leave a big smile on your face with all those fun arcade nostalgia trips in every little game. The graphics are a nice combination of traditional C64 sprite work and high-res style graphics, similar to most Arcade 64 games. And the main tune by Soul Cross, like I said earlier, invokes the best of David Whittaker's Lazy Jones theme and the drone of that Space Invaders sound effect tune. It's great. Check this one out on your C64. It's a real blast from the past.
So you're probably wondering, where can I get this game?
As of making this video, Arcade Daze is not available yet, but will be soon in both physical disc and tape variants, as well as digital for your Mini, Maxi, and Vice. Everybody that added this game as a bonus to the annual Kickstarter probably has the game already or will have it soon. Also check out Lazy Jones and Arcade Classics on your C64 for variations on this game, and I'll leave a link in the video description to all the games for you to try out.
And thanks for joining me, Bastish B at 64K. I hope you had a good time. If you can like and subscribe, that'll be greatly appreciated, and I'll see you next time. Cheers.